Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Bride Tribe Chattanooga. I am here with Patrick. He is an insurance agent at Liberty Mutual, here to talk to us about married couples and what you should consider as far as insurance when you are considering getting married. So thank you so much for coming.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. So tell us a little bit more about how you got into the industry and how long you've been here.
Well, I got into the insurance industry, I guess. I had owned my wife and I had owned a pair of college bookstores for a handful of years, and that was not the business that anyone wants to be in. It seems like it would make a lot of money, and I remember thinking that as a college student, like, that's how I'll, go buy myself a Ferrari. It's not. I made about $30,000 a year, maybe less. So when we sold it, I just got I got an offer from a couple insurance companies, and I thought, well, I should try this out. And the more I got to know about insurance, the more I was like, it's not fun, and it's not something that people wake up and they're like, I'd really like somebody to call me about insurance today. But I try to make it fun, so at least when I have to talk to people about it, that it's not a painful process. And the more I've done with it, the more I've enjoyed, and the more I meet people, and the more places it takes me. And that's how you and I met. Was you thought about trying insurance as well, and then I guess, like you said, 5-6 years later, we're still friends and business contacts, and so.
That's crazy. It seems like another life. I mean, when I was in UTC and a finance major and thinking I wanted to do financial advising, and then seeing you again for your wedding at Stratton Hall when I worked there.
4 years ago now.
That's crazy. I really can't believe it.
Yeah,
and
time flies.
Yeah. Well, insurance isn't like one of those sexy industries. However,
Sure.
It is necessary.
It is.
And so I have a lot of clients that come to me and just, asking about the process. Like, okay, we're getting married. Now what? Like, do we need to join insurances? Is it best to stay on your parents' insurance? Can you kind of shed a little bit of light on that?
Yeah, actually, we get the same question too, or, people will call and say, hey, our kids are getting married, like, what do they do? So, obviously, if the family has a relationship with an agent, you would naturally want to talk to them and say,
Right.
hey, what's our next step?
Someone that you trust.
Somebody you trust.
Yeah.
And if they don't have one, you can always call me. As you should. But it is natural to have that conversation because, you spend all that time like, where are we going to live? What are we going to do? Hopefully you spent time in premarital counseling so you know what to do.
Right.
But it makes sense because that's, people don't understand it, but insurance is one of those things that can actually help you build credit. So when you go to buy a house, you actually have successful payment history on things, assuming you pay your bills on time.
Right.
But like with most companies, we do report to credit industries. So if you are a responsible adult, then that's actually something that'll help you when you go to buy your first home together.
That's amazing. So as far as like when you should contact an insurance agent, is it something that you should start getting squared away before you get married, or is it something that you sort of tackle after the whole marriage process is finished?
I'd say before, maybe
Okay.
within like 6 months of getting married, that's the time to think, okay, we're kind of narrowing things down.
Right.
Start looking at who you want to be your insurance agent. I always tell people, when I'm auditioning, I guess is what I call it, to be their insurance agent, is, okay, so if a tree does fall on your car, who do you want to talk to?
Right.
Hopefully it's me, but I always say, who would you want to talk to? And that's something to consider is you call your insurance agent typically on a bad day. Your car's broken down.
Right.
There are good days where you bought a new car. Who do you want to celebrate that with?
Right.
So I always say that's who you need to think of when you think, all right, who do I want as my insurance agent?
And I think it's really crucial to prepare. Yes, I'm sure you get those calls, those frantic calls on a bad day, but it's
Sure.
like to be in a situation where you've already prepared for something like that to happen, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna call Patrick, figure this out, he's got me, he knows exactly what we need to do. And it comes to car insurance,
Home, renters, life insurance.
jewelry.
Jewelry?
I can think of countless things as a married couple that you would wanna consider insuring. So
Sure,
there's
because you
lots of-
spend $10,000 on an engagement ring for your wife, spouse, however you want to look at it. What happens if the diamond falls out while she's at the mall and didn't realize it?
Right,
That's
exactly.
something you need insurance on.
Exactly.
That'll be a mysterious disappearance or something like that. So,
That's awesome. And so how long have you been in the industry of insurance?
2011, I think, was when I
Okay.
got my start in insurance.
Cool.
So
So very knowledgeable, lots of advice.
I like to think so.
Yes. And it's all sort of customizable. So, I think it's important to like sit down and say like, here, this is my situation or our situation combined, and then just figuring out what the best option
Yeah,
for that would be.
no two people and no two situations are typically alike. Insurance is not always a one size fits all.
Right.
So you do have to kind of figure out, some couples have one car, some have two, some have never had insurance. Some come from families where they say just get the cheapest and and hope for the best.
Right.
And that never, ever works.
So many different types.
Yeah, so.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Patrick. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us about all of this.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Of course. So, and if you want more information about how to contact Patrick or more information about getting insurance after you're married, then you can read the blog associated with this article.
Or before you're married.
Or before. There you go. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Ollie.
Appreciate it.